Hi and welcome back. So now let's get started. So this is 2 sticks of butter. I prefer to use margarine when I get it, but since I didn't have any in the refrigerator today, I'm using 2 sticks of butter. You put them in, and then you use 4 eggs. One, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm going to use half of this jar because I already know how much the measurements are. And this is going to be 1 cup of pureed pumpkin. A little hard sometimes to open up. There it is. So I'm going to use half. I don't exactly do the exact measurements most of the time, but that's because I already know what it is. Now, I'm using 1 cup of milk. This is farm milk, like from the farmers, but you can use regular milk. Now, this is cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. This is nutmeg, ginger, clove, and allspice. They're all equal of 1 teaspoon each, except for this ginger. This is 1/4 teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon. This is salt, baking powder, baking soda. So 1 teaspoon and a half of salt. Then you got 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Now this is going to be going over to the mixer, and I'm going to add 3.5 to 4 cups of flour, and then I will mix it. Now, you have the option of adding almond extract, and I use almond extract, and I use 1 teaspoon of that. Now, the reason why I left that one last is because it is one of those that you don't have to use, but I like to because it gives it more rustic and flavorful taste. So that's 1 teaspoon. So I will take a break, add the flour, and I will show you the way it's supposed to look. That's why I say 3.5 to 4 cups, because sometimes flour does its own thing. So I will be back in a moment. Welcome back to Country Cooking and Living. I've added the 3 cups of sugar and 3 cups of flour. I will slowly add more flour if I need it. And I know that I'm going to need at least 3.5. But the reason why I add the flour and the sugar next together is because it helps it mix better. As you can see, it's turning and doing its thing. And as you can see, the sides you can scrape too. But as you can see, it's kind of liquidy. See that? I'm going to add another half, which is the 3.5 now. And after this, it will be 4 cups. There's a fine line between both of them. See how it's getting thicker now? That's what you want to do. You don't want it too thick and too runny. That puree has got a lot of liquid in it, and then adding the milk has a lot in it too. But as you can see, it's still a little watery, but that's okay. I'm going to try and scrape and as you can see, it's still kind of very liquidy. Those pieces are fine. The chunks and stuff, that's okay. So now I'm going to add the last half a cup. And then it should be fine. Every time I cook, I clean up and I put stuff in the sink, and then on a break I clean it up. So this helps as a thing for in the long run when you're cooking. If you do it straight away, right after you mix something or chop something, if you clean it straight away, you don't have that many dishes later when you get tired from everything. See how it's starting to be still liquidy and thicker? That's what you want. So now it's pretty much done on this part. See how it's smooth? This will, right here, this will end up being thicker when you cook it. And this will have a lot of flavor. What I do is now is I shake the beater off in here. As you can see, there's still a little bit, but that's not much. And I'm going to take a break, rinse off those, wash them up real quick, and I'm going to get 2 bread pans and set the oven for the temperature, and I will show you how I do that next. Hi, and welcome back to Country Cooking and Living. I've greased the pans already, but I'm going to show you what I usually do. I take and I grease the pans with oil, cooking oil, or anything like that. And I take a paper towel and I go across the bottom and on the top and on the sides until it is all covered with nooks and cranny. You want to make sure that it's covered all over. And as you can see, the sides are too. Next, we're going to take some flour, regular flour, and we're going to put it in there, about 2 tablespoons. And we're going to flour the bottom and the top and the sides. What I like to do is I like to make sure that it gets all over and it's over the other pan or whatever I'm using so that I'm not wasting it, because money saving. You can see all that's coming down. See how it's floured? Now we're going to do this again. It looks like we're going to need a little bit more. You want to make sure that all of it's covered. And get every side. It's okay to get it on the cookie sheet that's right there, because that's what it's there, is to protect it from getting spills or anything or overflow when it cooks. Any excess you can use for the next batch. I like to make up several batches at a time and then freeze them. So now we have a cookie sheet, or not a cookie sheet, but a bread pan that's been coated. Now, if you don't want to keep the extra flour, you can take it and dump it. So I'm going to dump this part real quick. And I'm still going to use the pan. Next, we're going to pour it in to the bread pans, and we're going to try to make it as even as possible. As you can see, now we need a scrape. It's kind of hard to do it by yourself when you don't have help from the kids right now because they're in school, but that's okay. So now we pretty much scraped it. Now I'm going to even it out. And as you can see, it's pretty even. And now I'm going to take a break and get the stove to the temperature it needs to be. And then I'm going to put it in the oven, and we're going to cook it for an hour and a half. So I'll see you back after the break. Hi, and welcome back to Country Cooking and Living. As you can see, it's now 3:50, and the bread is ready to go into the oven. We will cook it for 90 minutes or an hour and a half. So I will put this in the oven, and I will cook it, and I will come back after the break and show you how to check it. Hi, and welcome back to Country Cooking and Living. Now we're going to test the bread. I can already tell you right now that it's not done because right here is still doughy, and right here is still doughy. It hasn't quite domed. But we're going to check it anyways. Take a toothpick, press it in, and you see if anything comes up. And on here that has, you can't really tell, but it really has. And you take it right here. That part's pretty much done. That part's pretty much done, I can tell you that. But right here, it's not. You can still see the goo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back in. This has been at an hour, and I wanted to show you the difference. And then when you put it in, I put foil on top of this lightly, and then check it in a half an hour. So after the break, I'll show you the difference. Welcome back to Country Cooking and Living. Right now, they've cooled, and now I can cut them up, and I can start putting them into either Ziploc bags or into a container for later usage and for eating later. So this is what I do, is I put them upside down to cool them off, and then I cut them. Sometimes they're big chunks, sometimes they're little. I try to keep them pretty good size. I put usually a foil down on the cookie sheet. And as you can see, they come out just fine. It's cooked through. Good size. And you can either cut them in half along this way and make more for everybody, or you can just have them ready for going into a Ziploc bag. I would use a gallon size bag, or you can take this and just put it whole without cutting it up. But this is now ready to go in a Ziploc and be ready to eat by your family. And as you've seen, it is that easy and that simple. So I hope you enjoyed this, and till next time, peace, love, and hope. Thank you, and see you then.